Hello. Welcome to LadyGang. I am beccatobin here with Jacvanek and Keltieknight. Do you guys think we should have how some podcasts have the beginnings of the of the episode, like a behind the scenes moment of everybody settling in and being like, ooh, this is a delicious drink.
All of Nick Vial's
is that what he does?
Yeah. They always have the guest, who's it going to be? Come sit down and put their headphones on.
Oh yeah.
Except the guest is us, so they're going to know.
Yeah, they're going to know.
I mean how on other podcasts they'll be rolling and they'll be settling in. The guests will be settling in.
I can do it.
Great.
Yeah. But it's going to be me just having existential crisis about the camera's not working or something like that. And then
they might throw listeners off, I'm going to say.
Yeah, without hearing the hello first.
Well, people come to us.
Sound like a mistake.
People come to us, although some people left. I did see a mean comment that they were like, it was on our YouTube channel. It was like, I stopped listening to LadyGang because Keltie's unnecessary need to control everything was really super annoying. I recently came back to the podcast and realized she lightened up a bit, and it's been quite enjoyable since. And I was like, you know what? It's the Prozac. I want to thank Prozac and Big Pharma. Okay, anyway, but yeah, we could.
I mean, it's been so many years. We've all hit some slumps as humans.
Give us a break.
So come back if you turned away because I was a cunt. I had a new baby.
And you're still you.
I'm way better than I was.
You are way better.
I was.
We lost you for a minute.
I was about to quit LadyGang. I was like, I cannot do this.
We lost you for a minute.
Yeah.
She's back.
But you know what? It's so funny. I was with a friend of mine last night. And he's got 2 kids under the age of 6. Marriage is not great. And I just looked at him. I said, I got to be honest with you. I don't know anyone, not single one of my friends who is thriving having their babies under 4 years old. They're thriving in that they're like, oh my God, I did this and I'm alive. And here's one cute moment that kept me alive. But everyone's marriages are terrible. Everyone's no one's their person. No one's.
Yeah.
Well, it's a tough time to be alive, I think, for everybody.
Yeah. But I just think you're doing a great job, and we saw you struggle, but you held it together beautifully. And I'm glad you didn't quit, because now you're kind of on the other side of having a baby and you're back.
And now she's in terrible twos. So it's perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So
potty
wonderful.
train?
No, you don't really potty. Well, everyone can do whatever they want. But for him, he's only just turned 2 and it's early to be doing it.
And I didn't know. I'm not potty trained and I'm 42.
That's true. Firstborn children are harder to potty train because they don't have siblings that they're watching.
Yeah.
And then I think boys take longer as well.
Boys take longer.
But I can't decide. So all these parents are like, it's great when they're potty trained. You don't have to change another diaper. But then I think about it. I don't want to go to public restrooms. I don't want to have to go to every public restroom around Austin with a 2-year-old.
Right.
What do you even do?
You just bring them in and sometimes they just pussyfoot around it and they fake it out because they just want to see the inside of the bathroom.
Oh my God.
You have to get up from a dinner table. And I think at some point parents do it and then their kid's like, I got to go to the bathroom. And they're like, just shit yourself.
Yeah.
Why did we
diaper back on?
Why did we take it off?
100%.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's time for
Good Week.
Yes, it is.
Bad Week. Oh no.
Who'd like to go first?
I'll go. Good week. We officially put an offer on a house.
No, you did not.
Yep. This morning,
Jacvanek.
And we're recording a little bit ahead. So by the time this airs, I will know if we got it or not.
Okay.
I'm thinking, well, it's very competitive, obviously,
of course.
which is insane.
Okay.
I was telling Becca a little about it in the car. It's nuts because I walked in this house and it reeked of cat piss.
Yeah.
Yet I'm still thinking it's my dream home.
Yes, of course. No.
And it's worth over $1 million.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy what the world has come to when it comes to buying homes.
Did it have carpet?
No carpet. So
where's the cat piss living?
That's what I'm wondering.
It's okay. We can deep clean. I love it. I love a project. I don't have any projects anymore. I'm ready.
Please help me
Ken
fix her upper.
is ready.
Oh, okay. So the house that we put an offer on, it has the weirdest walls everywhere. So it's going to be a big demo.
Cool.
Opening up the ceiling.
Great.
It's going to be a project. Nothing about that home is livable.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that because I've seen you do it.
Yeah.
And so we'll see. Fingers crossed. Again, if you're listening to this, I'll already know if I got it or not. But
who's going to call you? Your agent?
Yeah.
Oh.
How many offers?
I don't know.
Did you go over?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
In Orange County.
Did you write a letter?
You can't. It's
What?
illegal now. love letters. You can't.
Shut up. That's how I got all my houses.
Me
I was
too.
like, it's just me.
Well-
my poor little Canadian dream to live in your home.
Yeah, they can't do it because of like discrimination. People
Yeah.
should
Sure.
discriminate, but
You're right, because we put like a photo with us and the dog and all that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I could see how that could be discrimination. Wow.
yeah, I could, well, because we didn't know, we haven't put an offer in yet. So I was like, Artie, I'm like envisioning what my letter is going to be. I'm like, oh, we're like wanting to start a family by my parents and like
Yeah.
whatever. And
Where's the house?
in Mission Viejo. It's like 8 minutes from my parents. It's by like a really cute trail that we walk on already.
How has the hunting been? Has it all just been garbage?
Horrible.
Yeah.
It's like every couple of weeks, there's one house that is a dump. Like they're all dumps, like falling apart. There was a house that we looked at last week that was amazing, but it was from the 70s and the carpet was from the 70s and the bathroom stains everywhere. And we're like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is perfect.
It's
Sold immediately for $300,000 over asking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dumps. I'm not
Wow.
kidding. When I say dump, I mean dump. But
Dumpity dump.
at least we're in the game. It's
I can't
exciting
wait.
to even like put an offer in. So we'll see.
I think it's great. And I'm so proud of you because this is something you've wanted. So listen, I think whether you get this house or not,
We're in.
you're in the business
Yeah.
and you're going to have a home this year.
Yeah.
And that's thrilling. Oh,
Yeah.
good job,
Hopefully.
Jack.
Thank you.
And also congratulations on saving up that down payment.
Yeah.
Because you've worked your ass off and you don't have real jobs.
Yeah.
So the two of you, no, but the two of you together, you've never had a W-2 in your life.
Yeah.
So
No,
it's
it's
like
true.
the fact that you've been able to live these weird careers and also be putting a down payment on a big purchase like
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
huge.
Thank you.
I agree.
Proud of you.
Thanks. Good
No one's
vibes.
parents are like, you go be a guitar player, you go start a niche fashion line and a podcast, go buy a house.
Yeah.
I can't wait for you to buy a house.
Yeah,
They're
can't
like,
wait for you to be
And
adults.
it is crazy because I'm like, who else are the people that are like have enough money to put a down payment on a house that's that expensive?
Oh, and people are like, all cash. And you're like, what?
no, it's insane.
Where are you getting this cash?
I'm like, unless you're generationally wealthy, but I am really proud. It's like we're spending our own money.
Yeah,
My parents
you did
didn't give
it.
us a single cent,
right,
but like
you did it.
I feel
And
good.
like coming off a wedding year. It's huge.
yeah.
And
well,
we didn't even give you wedding gifts. So you didn't even have like a honey fund.
Yep. Very spendy 2 years, but that's why we need to make the LadyGang money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or else I'll die. Okay. My bad week is.
Or else I'll die.
Okay. You know how we had Tamron on? We were talking about smut reading.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And remember, we're like, what does it
Oh,
stand
no.
for? And we
Oh,
couldn't.
no. And I
figure
said
out-
sexy, mature something.
we couldn't figure out what it stood for.
What
I
does it
looked it
stand for?
up. Sexual maturity under text.
wow.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
But
You know what?
Sexy mature.
I really want to tell you something. I really want us to do a smut book series.
I knew you
oh,
were just
wait.
gonna
I
say
could be
that.
into that.
I've been thinking about it and I already reached out to an agent for
To
us.
write
Wait.
it?
Well, we would have.
Keltie and I would write it. I would write it.
You would write a bit of it. It would be, here's the idea.
No.
LadyGang, tell us what you think. You don't have to do anything.
No.
Well, no, don't say it out loud. It would be stories based on our real encounters in Hollywood. So it would be like PR, two people are on a movie and they fall in love and that's like the romance. Or like it would be like reporter and whatever. And it would be like all of our great stories about our
Is it
lives.
short stories?
No, not short stories. It's a novel. Hannah Brown just wrote one. It's called Mistakes We Didn't Make. And it's great.
It's smut.
It's smut.
So
it's like
Jax would be a music
music
festival.
guy. And
Okay, I
they meet
kinda
at a
like
music
this.
The
festival.
Penny Lane of emo.
Yeah, it's like millennial.
Yeah, I like it
stories,
millennial.
but like because the smut I'm reading is either like too normy, like
Yeah.
it's a doctor and a whatever,
Or, like, old.
or it's like old, or it's very fantasy. There's a lot of smut that's like in the fantasy
Fairies,
world.
right?
People love it.
And that's what I liked
Fanfic.
about Hannah's book is it was just like this guy from her past, and then there's like some like sexy rom-com kind of make you horny. Honestly, Hannah's book is great. I would take us a little hornier.
Oh yeah, we got to be
Like she
horny.
had like some makeups. She never got to like the penetration. I think we could get to like horny, but that's what women are
Wait,
reading
I
as
would
porn.
love-
Just tell me that you have already reached out to an agent regarding this.
I just said, do you think there'd be interest?
I'm in.
Before I bring it to the girls, I want to know if we can sell this thing.
I mean, I
And they
look
said
back.
there's nothing bigger in the publishing world right now.
I'll do
than
it.
Smut.
Becky, you don't have to do anything.
I do, because if each of us has to do our own version.
No, but
of-
they would be a series, right? Yours wouldn't come until if you want to go last.
Yeah.
And then we could really get you a ghostwriter
Thank you.
because we'll be so successful.
But wait, how would that work money wise? Because I'm not. Each person would just get their
How
own
we
money.
do all of LadyGang.
We'd split it all.
We split it 3 ways.
And you wouldn't have to work until the third book.
You'd have to be in the photo shoot, which you'd hate.
No, by then AI will be able to put me into
That's
a photo
true.
shoot.
Anyway,
Moving
moving on.
Sorry, but my second part of bad week is, we're talking about smut, and I'm like, I know it sounds like a dirty word. There's something that's like up about it. It's because it is. Because there's a type of porn
That's called smut?
Smut porn is real bad.
Oh, really bad?
Murder porn.
Wait.
It's called smut porn.
It is?
The murder porn is smut?
You don't think the book industry should
You
have
don't
looked
think-
into this
You don't
further?
think Tamron Hall would have known that? She writes murder books.
I swear to God. I mean, don't Google it because then like the FBI might be on your phone, but like.
Oh.
Yep.
God, so many things to worry about
Sorry,
in
guys.
2
Wow.
minutes.
Okay,
Jack.
well, I'm going to jump in because my bad week actually has to do with the first house I ever bought.
Oh my God.
Okay.
So
Wait, up on Laurel Canyon?
yes,
Okay.
that house means a lot to me and Zach. It's just in
Well, it's
my
gone.
fantasies. I've thought I'd buy it back at one point.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
I'm so mad that I didn't figure out a way to somehow hold on to it.
And that's where we filmed the
It's where we filmed the sizzle for
Yeah.
LadyGang.
TV.
So when we bought the house, it was a time where you could write a letter to the owner.
Yeah.
And I found out from the broker that she was a makeup artist in the business. So I felt like we had some sort of a connection there. And
Yes.
she had inherited money when her dad passed away, and that's how she bought the house. So it was really sentimental to her. And so
Yeah.
she really wanted to give it to people who wanted to make a life in it, So in me and Zach's mind, our intention was always to stay in that house, have our first baby in that house, do so many things in the house. But life happened and we really grew out of it quicker than we realized. And so
it was teeny tiny.
it was teeny tiny house. It was 1,100 square feet,
a
little
good house,
old
though.
house,
So good.
like a little
It's like a cottage.
cottage. And for me and Zach and a potential baby at the time, it just felt like it wasn't as feasible. I'm sure we could have done it, but we had another option and we went with it.
Yeah.
And I felt guilt forever because we sold the house to people we didn't end up knowing. We didn't have a close connection. We just it was an all cash buyer.
Yeah.
And
Damn them.
damn them. We recently drove up the street.
Yeah.
Oh no.
They have torn the whole thing down.
No.
Except for one little portion of the facade, which I guess they have to legally leave.
If they don't want
one
to do
wall.
the permit for a new.
For a new build or whatever.
Wait, so what did they redo it like? Like, what's the vibe?
it's just empty.
Literally,
Oh, it's
there's just
empty.
a lot
Driven by
of
it,
dirt where the house used to be,
And
and
the
one
staircase
wall.
is kind of still there.
I think the staircase was gone by the time I saw it.
No.
So the house is
That's
going,
so
and I have
sad.
so much guilt regarding this makeup artist who sold us this
Oh,
house
yeah.
thinking
Knowing you would
she'd still be
protect it.
able to drive up and down that street, see the house.
Yeah.
And
Ugh.
I can't believe how, why these people are doing it. And they're tearing the whole thing down.
Yeah.
And I don't
That
get it. And it's so
sucks.
sad. There's so much history in that street. And I'm just so bummed. And I hope one day I see her and can apologize, because I know for a fact, like the fact that her dad died and she inherited money and bought that house with it.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Awful.
That's really sad.
Yeah. Well, in better news, I was listening to a podcast and I heard a term that there were people talking about.
Smut.
No, there were people talking about the Housewives of Salt Lake City
Yes.
and all of these psychological things that go on. And
Yeah.
so there's this term that Brene Brown came up with, and it's called floodlighting.
Ooh.
It's the opposite of vulnerability, but it presents as somebody who's very open and very
Oh.
vulnerable.
Okay.
It's oversharing publicly can not only make other people feel like you have invited them into a very personal space when they barely know you, it can have the opposite effect you were going for. So Brene Brown calls this floodlighting. People are, when they overshare a lot right up front, like Monica from Housewives of Salt Lake City, and she
Mhm.
puts it all out there. So if you meet somebody and they're airing all their dirty laundry, they're floodlighting you. They're flashing these lights into your face. Essentially, it's their armor
Yeah.
to make you think they're very open and very vulnerable,
But they
when
have
in
huge
fact
secrets.
the floodlight is their armor so that you can't have a
Like a
chink.
distraction.
Yes. So floodlighting, and every single time I was thinking about this and watching people's behaviors and thinking about people who I initially had that first interaction with where they did that,
Yeah.
they later proved to be
Shady.
shady people.
Interesting. That's
Yeah,
really
I'm like, who have I been floodlighting
I
or
know.
been floodlit by?
Because she's like,
I
who am I
think-
floodlighting?
Well, I think that there's a level of it that can just be done unconsciously
Yeah.
because sometimes I'll overshare
Yeah.
to somebody, but my
Well,
intention is not really any other
Exactly.
thing than to just show them that I'm open so they can be open.
Yeah.
But I guess these people do it so that you can't, like
Yeah.
Monica, she said, I f***ed my brother-in-law, and she like announced it from the day she started on the
so
show.
no one digs into her life because you think you know all the dirty secrets, but you don't actually know
that's
the
if
dirty
you're
secrets.
so open, you're going to be open about everything.
So why would you ever think that person would lie?
Why would I lie?
or
Because I
hide
admitted
something?
that I f***ed my brother-in-law.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
love it.
Interesting.
Well, this is a perfect segue. When we come back, I'm holding my good week, bad week because I have news and I'm going to floodlight you with all my stories and my uterus.
The Lady Gang.
We are back. My good week, bad week. Here we go. My good week is that I'm going to take 2 weeks off. No,
She's going on vacation.
How is that not good? That's a great week.
It's a great week. I don't even know, to be honest with you guys, like I don't really know. I feel like I'm numb to everything. Like even when the e-news was announced, like everyone's like, oh my God, are you so happy? And I'm just like, yes, but like I feel like I'm saying I'm happy because I'm supposed to feel happy, but like I am happy. But also I'm like, is it being grounded that like nothing really excites me or disappoints me that much? Like it's all just I'm just level. Is that the Prozac?
Yes. I mean,
That's what I think.
well, two things. The announcement of a job is like not really the time, like the public announcement is not really the time that you should be feeling anything except for like gratitude for people being nice and reaching out. But
Yeah.
when you got the call from
I
your
was excited.
agent, you were
Yeah.
excited. So
Yeah.
like all these like fake announcements that all these influencers are doing, and it's like, this is so exciting, you know, that's for the fans, that's for the followers, that's for like other people to get excited or hyped up. But for you, it's like those little moments that are smaller, quieter moments where you're like, oh, this is a nice one. But I also think like if you don't experience super high highs, then you also don't experience super low lows. So sometimes it's just a way of us subconsciously protecting ourselves from feeling too much.
Well, and we've talked about it before too, where like I get more excited for somebody else's like success or like an
Mhm.
exciting moment for them than I get for like the excitement I had when you got super fan Keltie was more excited than I've probably been for anything in my life, which
Yeah.
I don't know is also like some sort of like a protection for yourself, but like you're actually allowed to feel excited for somebody else. So, I mean, I was elated. So you've got everybody on your side.
Thanks. Okay, so the reason so I'm having hysterectomy, and it's today, it's now. Like if you're listening to this, I'm in surgery, which is great.
Wait, this is going to be the day that you're having surgery? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I wanted to I'm pre-recording this a week out because I wanted to talk about it. And I actually was like, should we say something? Am I going to say something? And there's many reasons why I wanted to say something. But then just 2 days ago in our Facebook group, one of our members actually posted that she has a very similar thing as me and is having the hysterectomy and is freaking the out about it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not alone. And then throughout this course of like learning about this, I've realized that like most women, the most hysterectomies that are performed are for women aged 40 to 44, which is wild because it feels like it's old lady surgery. And so, but I go back to my story. So this is what's crazy. So I've obviously been feeling like shit and suffering for a long time. And I'm trying to unpack this in therapy, but for me, I feel like I'm such a hustler and I'm such a hard worker, and I've always like lived and breathed that. And so when I felt like shit in my 20s and 30s and even in the past few years, I always sort of blame myself, right? And I blame myself because I'm like, I'm working too hard. I don't have good work-life balance. If I woke up and like meditated for 10 minutes, I would feel better. If I ate my vegetables, I would feel better. And so like I have made it no secret that I trashed my body and have been terrible to myself in my 20s and 30s. And I absolutely believe that like some of that has caused me to have a lot of these health issues in my 40s. Like, and I know I am to blame, but at the same time, like, I think I kept going on these, like what we call the health journey, because I would be like, well, I know I feel like shit and I know I need to be better. And then I would try so hard and put so much effort into being super healthy, but I never really felt any better.
Can you be specific about what you were feeling?
Yeah. So I've always had like numbing fatigue, especially, well, so it's been a couple things, right? Like I've always been tired. I've always been like sort of this. And then I was like, am I bipolar like my brother, where I'm like a maniac, where I'm manic, and then I'm so tired and I have to sleep for 3 days? Like, I don't know what's going on. And so, but the past few years, as I've been going into perimenopause, what I have felt are mind numbing fatigue, like where I am on doing LadyGang with you, or I'm at E. And if I'm not doing those two things, I am asleep in my bed. I'm asleep at 7:15 at night. I could sleep 14, 16 hours a day. I do not work out. I do not hike. I do not hang out with friends. I don't go to dinners. I don't go to birthday parties. I read my book. I fall asleep. I cannot. So mind numbing, like fatigue, like you can't even really get it. Body aches and pains. You guys remember when I was like, oh my God, I have arthritis over my whole body. And then they went and searched for arthritis. They're like, you have no arthritis. My feet hurt, my ankles hurt, my elbows hurt, my back hurts. Constant headache, where again, I blame myself. I'm like, oh, if I wasn't drinking coffee or whatever. And then I stopped all those things and I still had the headache. Really bad eyesight. So basically for the last couple of years, I've been memorizing or lightly memorizing the scripts that I have to read out of the teleprompter, because my eyes, it's like I can't focus on anything, and everything is like this. Like everything is like a blurry line. Like it's all moving around at all times. I can't my eyes don't focus. What else? Obviously like weird rashes all the time. And just horrible, horrible, horrible periods. Horrible periods where, as I got into perimenopause, I just got my period again today. It's been 17 days. I'm getting my period every 14 to 17 days. And it's so heavy, where I was wearing menstrual cup, menstrual disc, and a period panty at work, and wearing my like mini dresses at E, and feeling like I was going to bleed through them. Like in an hour, and like a really big clots, like not to get too graphic, but I want to get graphic on this podcast, like a lot of clotting, a lot of like where you sit, that feeling before you kind of, this is gross, but like you have a big poop and you're like, your body starts to kind of like grumble, and maybe you get like a little period, like a pain or whatever. And then you're like, it's like that, except then and then I take a deep breath and I like pass a huge like clot out of my uterus.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Really. And as I've gotten older, really bad, like PMS too. And I'm doing all the things. I'm taking the supplements, I'm doing the progesterone cream, but just like sore boobs, all of those things that go along with it. So these horrible periods, this crazy, crazy exhaustion, to the point where it's like, I can't walk, my driveway is hell, but like, I can't walk up and down my driveway. I can't take the trash out. Like I'm not like, bringing my luggage on an airplane is like, I need to like take a nap after that. Even doing a phone call where I have to like, talk about LadyGang or whatever.
Kion.
It's like, then I have to like go lay down after and just like put myself back together. So anyway, a couple years ago, I started, really working on this. I finally have a prognosis, if you will, and what they have finally figured out. So I just want to say the first doctor I went to, this was kind of before I had the mono and was going to this, I was seeing a naturopath. Before I did that, I really thought my thyroid was off, and I've always had thyroid stuff, and take a thyroid pill. And I went to this one doctor and he's like, oh, well, you have chronic fatigue syndrome and you're just going to feel like this forever. He's like, it just happens. I was like, well, what causes it? And he's like, it just happens sometimes. And I was like,
God.
if I have to live the rest of my life this tired, like this just seems like a weird thing. So then that's when Christina Perry was like, you need to go see Dr. S at the Beehive of Healing. So I went to Dr. S and he was like, no, like I'm going to fix you. And so we went on this crazy 2.5-year journey where the blood work that he does is like 60 pages. Like it's not even like a CBC panel is the top of the
What kind of a doctor is he?
He's a holistic,
Like functional medicine?
Functional medicine, yeah.
Okay.
And he's like out here. He really helped my friend Christine after she lost her baby at 8.5 months, and was like a real, saving grace of like getting her health together. And he really, really, really dug in. And he would see me and he would be like, "You're going to feel better, but it's going to take some time." And so some of that was on me, right? Like I started working with a nutritionist, and I really had to look at what I was eating, what I was putting in my body, changing some of my eating habits. And so then we kept digging. So then it was really interesting because, my iron was low, and the doctors would be like, "Well, just eat a steak." And even my nutritionist, who was now wrong and was still seeing her, was like, "Well, would you eat a steak medicinally? Because I don't eat meat." She's like, would you look at it like medicine? Would you just eat a piece of steak once a week as your medicine for this iron? Like if you felt better. And I was like, yes. I didn't eat the steak, but I started drinking bone broth. And I was that desperate to feel better. I haven't had meat, like red meat, since I was 15 years old. But I was like, I feel like shit. And if bone broth is what I need to drink. So I started having bone broth. Then they tested all my things. My number one inflammation allergy in my body is bovine. So all the collagens, all the beef liver pills, all the iron pills, everything is made with that. And it was actually making my symptoms worse and inflaming my body and causing me to feel bloated, terrible, like I had a little pregnant belly. So I switched to chicken broth, which I'm still eating, and I haven't had chicken since I was 14, but like I'm doing the broth every day, like all these things. So I made a big change. And one of the things Dr. S did is he sent me to this oncologist named Dr. Berkowitz, who I love, at the Disney Center. And he was like, you need to like go and really see someone about your iron because your level is like crazy. So Dr. Berkowitz does all this testing. This was last year. And he's like, so here's the thing, your iron is bad, but your ferritin is the binder of iron. Ferritin lives in your blood, and it is what connects with the iron and keeps the iron and your healthy stuff flowing through your blood cells. He's like, your ferritin is 8 right now. The level is 8. And he's like, it needs to be over 200. A healthy person has a level on the bad side, 120, on the good side, 200. So they gave me iron infusions. So I went for 3 iron infusions, you guys remember. And it's actually kind of dangerous to do iron. I mean, they do them all the time, but like too much iron can cause heart attacks and like stuff in your brain. So you have to be really careful. And of course, being the delicate flower I am, the second infusion I had an allergic reaction to it. My throat closed up. So they had to like stop. Anyway, so I went to the infusions, and normally like those infusions last. They're like, oh, well, just like it kickstarts and then your body starts doing what it's supposed to do. So did all the infusions. The highest my level got after the infusions was 34. And when I tell you, that's when, do you guys remember we were doing the podcast a year ago, and I was like, I have a crazy sex drive. And I was like, all I want to do is have sex and I feel so good. That's when my blood was 34. And I was like, I felt like I could win a marathon. It was only 34. It was like even a small improvement.
Still 100 under the lowest that you should be.
Yes. So, but then I kind of instantly started feeling shitty again. But I assumed that the iron infusions had worked. So I was like, okay, it's something else. So I just keep working. I go back for like my checkup, and he does it again. And he's like, everything's improved. My thyroid could not be better. My, like all of the different hormones, like everything that he tested, he was like improved. And he has this thing where he's like a big visual, this is Dr. S. He has like a big visual thing. So he writes on your chart improved, and he writes like arrows going up because he wants you to see like you're getting better and like that go into your brain. And then he gets to the ferritin. It's 5, level 5.
So
it went down. And he was like, we really need to figure out what we're going to do here because this is not getting better, and you can't live like this. So it was interesting because this was all happening at the same time we had Sharon Stone on the podcast, and Sharon Stone had said that thing in passing about an ablation, which I didn't know existed as a human being. So then I went to my gyno, and I was like, Dr. Lily Lee, here's where I'm at. I'm having these terrible periods every 2 weeks. I literally can't go on vacation with my husband without having a period through half of it. These are my ferritin levels. I came with this yellow folder of like all my paperwork. And I was like, can I have an ablation? And she was like, I mean, let me talk to Dr. S. So they got on the phone. So then there's 4 things they try to do before the hysterectomy. Number 1 is they give you the mini pill, progesterone pill. So I took the mini pill because the mini pill, progesterone only pill, allegedly stops your period.
Yeah.
I took it for 3 days. I got cystic acne all over my face. I called Dr. Lee. I was like, I can't do it. Like, my body's never been good at hormones like that. And I was like, this is not going to be the option for me. So then she tried to talk me into an IUD, which is why I was texting you guys about your IUDs. And she was like, I was like, I don't want to do the hormone one. And then my pelvis is tilted in a weird way. And she was like, it's going to be really hard to insert your IUD. You could be one of those people that has problems with it. And I was like, well, I know I will be the person that has fucking problems with it, like of all the people. So I was like, that's not an option. So then she's like, great, ablation. We do the sonogram. She's like, I think your uterus has a septum, so you're not gonna be able to get an ablation, but let's really look. So uteruses are normal shaped like a diamond, but some people have a heart-shaped uterus, which is kind of a beautiful thing. My uterus is heart-shaped, but when your uterus is heart-shaped, it means you have like a septum that comes down the middle, and the ablation tool is shaped like a diamond, so it won't go in and it won't burn off the uterine lining. So then I go for an MRI. I have an allergic reaction to the MRI machine stuff. And she basically calls me and she's like, you have this septum. The only option is hysterectomy. So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing the hysterectomy. I don't want to live like this anymore. I'm also doing the infusions. And their feeling is that we finally figured out what's wrong with my blood. I have a blood disorder, and I've probably had it my whole life. It's called microcyclic anemia. It's a specific type of anemia that is not food-based. So eating the steak, don't fucking text me, eat the steak. Eating what you and what you live, like how you live your life, doesn't affect it at all. You are just it can be genetic, it can develop over time. Essentially, I am just someone that the way that my body is made, my blood cells are smaller and there's less of them than a normal person. And so no matter what I did, no matter what supplements I take, no matter what infusions I get, there is really nothing that can be done other than stopping and keeping as much healthy blood in my body as possible as all times. So that's why the hysterectomy is the perfect thing to do, because it will mean that I won't be bleeding out all of the good blood all the time, so we can try to like get on top of it. But yeah.
Is there a blood test to take to know if you have that disorder?
So that's such a good question. Probably I need to look on my files, but Dr. S, like, essentially, I think it's something that people know a lot about, doctors anyway, because he looked at my chart and he was like, okay, yeah. And then he wrote it down what it was. And and then when I went to the gyno and I was like, this is the anemia. And then when I went to the other guy, he's like, oh yeah, yeah. So
it's probably just like putting together a lot of different pieces to kind of figure it out instead of just one test.
Right. And it's also like, I guess maybe after you see it for a while of like, nothing, because Dr. S saw how hard I worked and he knew all the treatments I was doing, and he's giving me an IV every week, and I'm taking all of his supplements, and I'm seeing the nutritionist. So he knows, like, we're doing all of that. We're throwing all of this at this and it's not doing anything.
And so the only cure or the only thing that'll make it better is a hysterectomy. So if there's somebody that has the same thing but wants kids, then that's like a huge.
Well, maybe an IUD or an ablation, because if they have a normal shaped
if they don't have
uterus.
Right. So if they have a normal shaped uterus, I think, well, it's so interesting. So I would jacvanek to this. Like, I've been on Reddit every night. And so a lot of people with all types of anemia, they go and try to stop their periods in some way.
Like my IUD stops my period. I don't bleed really. So that is, yeah.
Right. And I'm just taking, of course, delicate. Well, it's funny because I said to my doctor, I'm such a delicate flower. And he looked at me and he goes, you're not a delicate flower. You're incredibly strong. Like, the way that you've been living your life and being successful at what you do, even though like this would trash people, So I felt happy when he said that. Yeah, people stop their periods, right? I just don't have that option because of the tilted uterus and then the weird shaped uterus. And it was like, we kept, because it seems so easy, right? You're like, oh, I'll get these infusions, I'll stop my period, and then that'll be it. And then we just kept going down the list of things. And I was like, oh, no, of course I can't have the day surgery where you like go in and they ablation you and then you're good forever. People do say ablations don't last and like there's things with it too. But if you want to have kids, it's like IUD or you just have to deal with it. But there's so many people. So it's very helpful because I feel like, Jac, you would agree, Reddit is like a terrible place where like the worst of everything kind of comes out, like the conspiracy theories. And if you go on like hysterectomy and anemia Reddit, which I can't believe that exists,
Everything exists on Reddit.
People are like, I wish I did it 20 years ago. Why the have I suffered for so long? Like, so many people are really positive about it. Some people are like, I gained a ton of weight after my hysterectomy. Oh, so I'm leaving my ovaries. So they're taking my tubes, my cervix, and my uterus.
You can take the cervix out? Isn't that just like a tube?
Yeah, but there's some like, sometimes for people, your endometrium, like what actually builds like the lining, kind of goes down into your cervix. So to like have a super clean.
Wait, so is this technically endometriosis that you have?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not the same thing at all. Endometriosis is when your uterine lining is built around the outside of your uterus. So it's in places that it shouldn't be. He saw some endo, he saw some cysts, he saw like all kinds of shit on the MRI. And he's like, I'm going to clean it out like when I get in there. But this is not like, I do know people go in to have like surgeries for endo, but this is not that at all. This is just to like stop the period. So and then I'll get the infusions and I'm really excited about it. But just last thing, sorry, I know this is long, but I just was like, I talked to my mom about it and she was like, all of my friends, we're in our 70s, all of our friends, we had our kids and then we've had horrible menopause and horrible perimenopause. And she's like, I feel so jealous of your generation because you guys are so woke in like your own health journeys. She's like, I just saw my doctor every 2 years for a pap smear and was like, I have horrible periods. And they're like, sorry, have a hot water bottle. And she's like, I'm talking to my friends that you're doing this. And all of us are like, why the didn't we finish having our children and have a hysterectomy because we've had prolapse uterus and all of these issues going in to menopause. And she was like, I'm so happy. Like she was so excited. And she was like, I'm so thrilled that you're doing this. 2 things I'll say. I want a hysterectomy TikTok, and do not, if you're planning on doing this surgery, look up how they do it. They put you on the slab and they tilt your head down so all your blood runs to your head and you're strapped by your tits and you're in the stirrups naked, legs in the air. Like,
whoa.
Like you're on a seesaw and the seesaw, you're on the bottom. I have no idea. All these photos and videos from the surgical room, they're like, by the way, I was excited about my hysterectomy until I found out how they do the surgery. And they have you legs spread, head down, like you're doing the dab. Anyways.
That is bizarre.
I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. And the second thing was that they won't let me keep my uterus. I tried to see if I could put it in like a jar.
No.
They won't let you. They take it
Thank
for
God.
like pathology. He said I could get special permission to take a photo because Dr. S was like, you should do a ceremony where you like say goodbye. So anyway, my last thing I just want to say about this is that I was texting with Sharon Stone, which is so funny, after the podcast. And I told her I was doing the surgery. And she was like, it's going to be a real emotional like warfare. And I was like, no, I want the surgery. Like I want to feel better and I'm not having kids. And I know that. And then now, like in the, the past few days, as the surgery gets really quick, I am an emotional disaster. Like I think it's because it's so final. Like I knew we weren't having kids, but it's like I'm wrapping my head around the fact that like I will never be pregnant. I will never birth a child. I will never have those feelings, whatever, good, bad, ugly, all those terrible things. I don't know if you went through this, Becca, when you like finally had to like get good with the fact that you were going to have a surrogate. Like I'm just like, that part of womanhood, I will be on my deathbed and I will never experience it. Like,
do you know the way that I look at it? I don't know if this is helpful or not, but I'm like, yeah, it's like a rite of passage carrying a baby. It's like this thing that I'm literally going to die and not have a clue what it's like. But then I'm like, but then I look at my life and I have had so many other experiences that a ton of other people will never, have never. So we don't get to go on every roller coaster in the theme park of life. We get to go on the
Ooh.
ones that that we're lucky enough to do, and then some of the other adventures we skip. And I mean, it's like it's bittersweet, but it's also, if you you also have to look at it where you are getting so much more pros out of the cons. Like for me, I was like, I don't have any desire to put my body through hell again. I was waving my white flag and I was like, I'm done. So whatever the goodness is in those visuals of women breastfeeding their babies, like that's fine. I can say goodbye to those if I never have to fucking stick myself with a fucking needle again.
Yeah.
So you never have to have another day of exhaustion, another period of hell and clotting. And so just keep thinking of the good stuff that's going to come on the
Yeah.
other side of this. And you're going to have so much energy and you're not going to have a kid you have to waste it on.
Yeah. No,
Oh my
and
God,
I
and
kinda,
never having a period again. That sounds literally delightful.
yeah. And I just like looked at Chris and I was like, you're such a good man. And like, you should procreate. Like there should be more Chris Knights on the planet. Like, and I was just like, oh, all of a sudden, like, am I like, do I want a baby? And then I was like, Keltie, this is just like, this is the final, like, it's like the thing you want, the thing you can't have. And also like, based on this, this is probably why when I have had pregnancies in the past, like I miscarried, like, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a healthy baby anyway. So it's like, I would probably end up in the case of not having be able to carry my child anyway. You know what I mean? So it's like, fine. And then also I don't want a baby. Like, so I just have to like, I get in this like mode where I'm like, oh my God, like what, this is so, and then I'm like, but really think about your life. Like, you don't want this. So,
And once you go through it and you start healing and you start feeling better, like this is obviously like the shock of it, like the emotional shock hitting you at once of like, you know, not the what could have been, but you know, just life in general and womanhood, but like you'll feel so much better. You won't even think about it.
And the reason I wanted to, I know this was long winded, but ladies, I know you're listening. I just want to say like, A, it's not your fault. And B, you have to be such a like your own force field in your own health. Like there is no doctor that you're going to be like, I'm tired all the time. And they're going to go into this journey with you.
Oh, yeah.
Like you have to, if you want to feel better, like you, and something feels wrong. Like I just, for so long, like I felt like it was my fault. I was like, oh, well, if I was a better person, if I was a better woman, I would feel better. No, this is in me. This has been in me. This is a real medical condition. That has a name, that is a thing. And I thought it was my fault for so long, or I thought, oh, this is just what womanhood is. Womanhood is suffering. Womanhood is bleeding through your sweatpants, having to take a shower at 3 p.m. before I go shoot a show at 4 p.m. so that I'm not like covered in blood. Like, you know, I just thought that this was somehow my fault. And I just want every person out there to know, like, it is not normal to feel so bad all the time. And if you are feeling awful, more than like just the regular sort of everyday stress, like please go and do your very best to like get to the bottom of it, because we don't deserve to like live this life in hell, you know?
I love that.
Right. It's like you, Jack, it's like you and your skin. It's like you knew something's up and people are like, oh my God, it's a rash. And you're like, I know in my gut, there's like, well, it was literally in your gut, but like you knew there was more to the story. And it's we get gaslit by medical people and they're like, oh, it's chronic fatigue syndrome. I would still be just nowhere closer to health if I had believed that, you know?
Well, yeah, you have to be your own advocate, and like the healthcare system, especially like regular like Western doctors, it's like they're not going to look into the things that like a naturopath is going to look into. So it's like you knew and you kept digging. And if you didn't keep digging, you would just live your life and like be suffering the entire time.
Right. And I have 4 doctors. I have surgeon. And by the way, his name's Matthew, which is my brother's name. And I got on the Zoom with him and he just started crying. And I was like, are you going to tell me I can't have it? And he was like, no, you're the perfect candidate. He's like, I would force this on you. He's like, you have to do this. Like,
that's amazing.
And then it was so nice because then the next day Becca was like, hey, I was talking to my friend and she's like, you have to have this guy. This is the guy. And it's my surgeon.
It happened to be
Oh.
that guy.
Yeah.
What?
He was like, you
Yeah.
have to have Dr. Seidhoff. He's the guy that is the best guy at Cedars. And I was like, that's my
Wow.
surgeon. I literally talked to him this week.
Well, and that was like another
that's
side thing because Keltie had just kind of mentioned them going in and if they see some endo stuff, kind of handling it. And I was describing it to my friend Megan, and she goes, please, Megan has been in hell for the last couple of years fertility wise, and she was like, please, I have been living on the internet, the same type of thing where she's been her own advocate. And she said, please make sure with the endo surgery, she's seeing a specialist because there are, and listen, this is probably going to piss off a lot of OBGYNs, but I don't care because like we're here to help people. That is not a specialized field for most OBGYNs. And
Yeah.
so you have to be very careful when you're going in and handling endo to see a specialist. We have a few friends who've had some bad experiences. And if you go on and you really dig pretty deep, it's like that's a very precious part of our bodies as we're talking about. It's kind of like she said, it's like going to see a dentist for braces and not an orthodontist. That's kind of the
Yeah.
comparison. And listen, OBGYNs, they're wonderful. I love them. I think they're brilliant, talented, whatever. So this is not shading anyone, but just for this specific thing, it's really important.
No,
Yeah.
it's true. And even my gyno, Dr. Lee, she was like, I don't do this surgery. She's like, I can. She's like,
Mhm.
I'm trained in it, but like, there's a guy that is the best. And she's like,
It's
I would
all
love
he
to
does all day long.
Right. She's like, I would love to be there. And like, but she's like, there's a person that this is their specialty and this is who I want you to go to. And it was this doctor. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
Well,
My
that's
mom's
kismet.
my mom's going to be in town taking care of me. And I am just last thing, I'm very thankful to both of you because I've been up and down over the past few years for sure. And you've been so understanding and like you working about taking the time off and all that stuff. And I just love you guys. And I actually love that we have a community. Like it made me feel so seen when I saw in the Facebook group that someone else was writing about this. And then I was like, because I feel like a idiot talking about it for 25 minutes or 30 minutes and being like, oh, this thing, blah, blah. Like, and then I'm like, no, we actually like, listen, we're full of shit and we're idiots and we have fun and talk shit. But like at the end of the day, I do think we have open conversations. If I hadn't heard Sharon Stone on our podcast talk about ablation, then I wouldn't have known this was an option for me and I wouldn't have fought for it. So it's like, we are doing something good in the world. And I just love you guys so much. And that's it.
Oh, we love you.
So
You're going to have a great surgery.
and
Keltie
a great
2.0 coming soon. If she felt so horny with her ferritins at 32, imagine when they're at 200.
I don't even know what I'm going to do when we're on tour and she's wanting to like go to a restaurant.
Oh my God.
Like what is going to
Wait,
happen?
will
Where
you
she's like,
turn
let's
social?
have a cocktail. Let's go to a restaurant. I will be it's been almost a decade of like night, read a book, Keltie. So this is exciting.
Yeah, you better like actually socialize with us for once without working.
literally like, what if I just like, my new assistant Derek was like, do you ever just like go out to eat like for the love of like going out? And I was like, no, I go to bed. I go to sleep.
Insane.
And he was like,
insane.
I was like, but what if I like went out for sushi on a Friday night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Live a
can't
little.
wait. I can't
All right.
wait.
I
Okay.
can't wait for it.
I love you.
Love you.
Send me healing energy. I'll see you guys in a few weeks, but LadyGang will never stop because we're masterminds. And see you next Tuesday. Bye.
See you next Tuesday.